constant outreach from media outlets like this. And
hey,
friends and family, people from junior high school actually reaching out.
I know they are.
To check in and speak up. It's been
very what they say about you, Punisher.
You've reflected, I think, in some time about what your testimony said and what it was like in that courtroom. Can you tell me a little bit what it was like to be on that stand a few feet away from Sean Diddy?
He was nervous.
Been around before in these sexual encounters, but he was more of a voyeur at those times. What was it like being in the room in the courtroom?
He was nervous.
Yeah, so I have to say, I thought going into it, I was pretty prepared and confident, but literally when I walked in the room, I got complete anxiety. Like my entire body was shaking. Whatever I envisioned or what I thought, because obviously you can't see anything, it was the tension and the magnitude of the moment was much deeper. So it was to some degree terrifying. Like I just could not, whatever I envisioned, it was just so much more that I was not mentally prepared.
I mentioned that he was a voyeur during the sexual encounters.
You were about the 12 inches.
Directly in those rooms, as you've testified. Were you ever involved with Sean Diddy Combs? Did you two ever have an interaction in those sexual encounters?
No, actually, not one conversation, not even eye contact.
Really?
Yeah.
Did that surprise you?
Well, it was told to me immediately, like on the first encounter, that I was instructed to not look at him, not acknowledge him, not have any interactions with.
By Cassie?
Yeah, by Cassie. So those were the instructions. So I did my best to follow
not look at him.
My ability, because initially I did not know who they were, and so I just saw it as an opportunity. I see this stunningly beautiful woman, and $2,000 for this type of interaction.
$2,000 to bag his woman.
So I wanted to follow the directions as much as possible. So there was literally no interaction, I didn't even look directly at him.
Because normally you are a dancer, and this was an interaction that would have resulted in sexual intercourse.
Exactly.
Wow. So he got 12.
So this is nuance. It's not something that happens. I've done thousands of parties. This is the only time I was propositioned with something like this, and it was in such magnitude. In a Trump hotel, it's like these huge suites, and you can tell this is a very high profile couple. So I just wanted to be as professional for the scenario as I would assume was required.
Did you ever travel outside of New York with them?
I did not.
When you were engaged in this encounter and intimate with Cassie Ventura, as you've said on the stand, you were asked about whether you had any notice or any idea how she felt about the interaction, whether she was consenting, whether she was uncomfortable in any way. You did not feel as though she was uncomfortable.
She wasn't.
Can you explain?
Yeah, so there was always, like, before the sexual activity,
she was not nervous.
Always, like, downtime. So I would be greeted by a Cassie, kind of put in a room, and we would have casual conversation.
About how long did that last?
10, 15 minutes, and it would be, consistent.
Like
how's work going? How's the parties? How's things? So it seemed like a very cordial, laid-back situation, and I actually believe that
she was enjoying
herself.
herself.
Was real. It was like her birthday. This was something they were doing as a couple that wasn't normal. I mean, that wasn't their norm.
That's not normal.
I honestly thought I was the only person they were engaging with. So I had almost a belief that I was, wow, like this is a cool thing. Like I'm the person they're choosing for this kind of fetish type of environment.
What the hell?
Nothing seemed illegal to you or anything out of sorts?
Not even close. Like I didn't even get any thought of anybody being like under the influence of any drugs or anything. It seems like a very, for the circumstance, everybody was just normally in their right state of mind, and this was just something they did for sexual pleasure.
You never saw any violence?
Nothing close.
Interestingly, you say you haven't seen any violence, you didn't see anyone under the influence of drugs, and you didn't have any idea that she was not consenting in some way. Why do you think you were called to testify?
I'm still trying to figure that out, because after the fact,
I'm still trying to figure out, do you really got 12 inches? That's what I want to know.
There was directions, right? It was in my testimony. It was.
He's not gonna tell us. So I'm gonna see y'all in next video. Peace.
Somewhat in control,
Yeah, 12.
Not overbearingly. I mean, it was said to me this scene we were creating was for her husband, aka him. So the only thing I can say is maybe they were trying to show another element of control. And even though in my case,
I see y'all this video.
Or